Hey everyone, it's Dr. Julie coming to you today from my porch. I want to talk to you today about commitment. So, what is commitment? You know, the dictionary says that commitment is the intent to fulfill or complete. So, the intention to fulfill or complete something. That is what commitment is. And I can tell you, in my younger days, I was not great at commitment. I would break them. I didn't value it until God got a hold of me, actually. And I began to see how much God was actually committed to me. And commitment started to mean something. But I do have a story to tell about this. So I used to have a friend, and she would make plans with me, commit to those plans, and then at the last minute, like an hour before, 45 minutes before, she would cancel. And honestly, it left me lonely and a little angry because you don't have time to make other plans and go do things. And so I had a conversation with her and told her, if you continue to do this with me, then I'm going to stop having contact with you for 90 days. And she continued. And so I said, I won't talk to you for 90 days. And during that 90 days, she blew my phone up and a lot of things. But on day 91, I texted her and said, let's meet for coffee. And so we went and met for coffee. And she was telling me, she said, you know, I was so angry when you did that with me, so angry. She said, so I went and vented to all of my friends and told them what you had done. And all of them told me, it's about time somebody said something to you about it. And so in the end, what happened, because I held my boundary, is my friend learned about commitment. And I can tell you she's much better with it today. So commitment's super important. I have a temperament that requires affirmation and confirmation and things like that. And one of the best ways to not get it is to break commitments, I learned. And one of the ways that I have learned to keep my commitments is learning how to make a commitment. You know, the best way to make a commitment is to pray about it. And when you pray about it, you need to listen to see what God has to say. And I mean, not just what you want to hear, not the answer that you want to hear, but what God really has to say. You know, I hear this a lot in my practice. Oh, God told me to marry this person. Or, you know, God said we were supposed to be together. And then I look at them and I say, well, then why are you contemplating filing for divorce? If God told you to be together, then He can make it happen. And so commitment's super, super important. It's important to God. I encountered this when I was on staff at a church in Dallas. I was on staff at a very large church, and I had been there about 6.5 years, and I had gotten my degrees. I wanted to start my practice, and when I really started praying and petitioning the Lord and letting Him know that I wanted to leave, He said no. He said, until you're 100% committed here, you're not going anywhere. And I was just like devastated because I really wanted to leave. So for the next year, I put myself into 100%. I suited up, showed up, and did the next right thing all the time. And I will never forget, it was the hardest year of my life. It really was. It was super hard. It's very hard to do things that we really don't want to do and to do it with passion. But it is super important to God that we do it. And I will never forget the day that I really heard God say, you're released. You can go. And oh my goodness, I went immediately to my pastor's office and resigned. And I ended up leaving that church super well. And actually, the relationships there and the ministry that I did there have sustained my private practice for over 12 years. So commitment is important. It is incredibly important to God. I want to finish this off by reading something to you. Hebrews 12:11. At the time, discipline isn't much fun. It always feels like it's going against the grain. Later, of course, it pays off big time. For it's the well-trained who find themselves mature in their relationship with God. And so when we're going through these things and we have commitments and we're trying to keep them, keep in mind Hebrews 12:11. God says, at the time it isn't much fun, and I can attest to that, but it pays off. And it has paid off in my life like you cannot imagine. So I encourage you today, beloved, to keep your commitments and to understand that commitment is important. It's important to God. It's important to the people around you. And I think most important, it's important to ourselves, to what we can gain from that and what we can learn from it. Have a fantastic day. God bless you.